He had $2 billion, private islands, a fleet of jets, and then nothing. Not a downturn, not a slow decline, complete financial annihilation. And he's not the only one. History is full of people who reached the absolute peak of wealth and then lost every single cent, some through fraud, some through ego, some through pure spectacular stupidity. These are the richest people who went completely broke, and their stories will make you rethink everything you know about money. You're watching Wealth Ranked. Number 10, Vijay Mallya, net worth at peak, $1.5 billion. Vijay Mallya was India's most flamboyant billionaire. They called him the king of good times. He owned Kingfisher Beer, a Formula One racing team, a cricket team, and an airline, Kingfisher Airlines. The airline was the problem. Mallya poured hundreds of millions into a carrier that never turned a profit. He took on massive loans from Indian banks to keep it flying. By 2012, the airline was grounded with debts of over $1.4 billion. The banks came calling. Mallya fled India in 2016, settling in London while Indian authorities tried to extradite him. His assets were seized, his passport was revoked. The king of good times became India's most wanted economic fugitive. Number 9. Alan Stanford, peak net worth $2.2 billion. Sir Alan Stanford, yes, he was knighted, ran Stanford Financial Group, which managed over $50 billion in assets. Forbes listed him as one of the richest people in America. In 2009, the FBI arrested him. His entire fortune was built on a $7 billion Ponzi scheme operated through his bank in Antigua. He'd been fabricating returns for over 20 years. Investors lost everything. Stanford was sentenced to 110 years in prison. He'll die there. Every dollar he ever claimed to have was someone else's money. Number 8, Sean Quinn. Peak net worth, $6 billion. Sean Quinn was Ireland's richest man, self-made. He built a cement empire from nothing in rural County Fermanagh, turning Quinn Group into a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate spanning insurance, hotels, glass manufacturing, and property. Then he made a catastrophic bet. Quinn secretly accumulated a 25% stake in Anglo-Irish Bank through contracts for difference, financial instruments that amplified both gains and losses. When the 2008 financial crisis hit, Anglo-Irish Bank collapsed. Quinn's position was wiped out. He lost everything. Not just his investment, his entire business empire was seized to cover the debts. Ireland's richest man became its most spectacular failure. He was later jailed for contempt of court. Number 7, Eike Batista. Peak net worth, $30 billion. In 2012, Eike Batista was the 7th richest person on Earth. A Brazilian mining and oil magnate, he promised investors that he would become the world's first centibillionaire, worth over $100 billion. He built his empire on oil fields that he claimed held billions of barrels. The problem? The oil wasn't there. When production numbers came in far below projections, his companies collapsed, one after another. OGX, his flagship oil company, filed for Brazil's largest ever bankruptcy. Batista went from $30 billion to negative $1 billion. He actually owed more than he had. The man who promised to be the richest person alive ended up being convicted of corruption and sentenced to 30 years in prison. Number 6. Elizabeth Holmes. Peak net worth, $4.5 billion. At 30, Elizabeth Holmes was the youngest self-made female billionaire in history. Her company, Theranos, promised to revolutionize blood testing with a device that could run hundreds of tests from a single drop of blood. Investors poured in over $700 million. The valuation hit $9 billion. One problem? The technology didn't work. Holmes faked demonstrations, used commercially available machines instead of her own, and covered up failed results. When the Wall Street Journal exposed the fraud in 2015, Theranos imploded. Holmes was convicted of 4 counts of wire fraud in January 2022 and sentenced to over 11 years in federal prison. Her net worth went from $4.5 billion to zero. Number 5, Anil Ambani. Peak net worth of $42 billion. Anil Ambani was once the 6th richest person on the planet. His brother Mukesh Ambani is currently one of the top 10. The two inherited their father Dhirubhai Ambani's empire and split it in 2005. Mukesh got the oil and petrochemicals business. Anil got telecommunications, power and financial services. Mukesh's half turned into a $190 billion empire. Anil's half turned into a debt-ridden catastrophe. His telecom company was crushed by his brother's Jio, which offered free service to steal market share. By 2020, Anil told a London court that his net worth was zero. The same man who was once worth $42 billion declared to a judge under oath that he was broke. Number 4. Björgolfur Gudmundsson. Peak net worth, $3.5 billion. In 2007, Gudmundsson was the richest person in Iceland. He owned a banking empire, a brewery, West Ham United Football Club, and massive property investments across Europe. Then 2008 happened. Iceland's banking system collapsed entirely. All three major banks failed simultaneously in one of the most dramatic financial meltdowns in history. Gudmundsson's bank, Landsbanki, was nationalized. His fortune was wiped out overnight. He went from $3.5 billion to filing for personal bankruptcy. Iceland's richest man became, briefly, the most indebted private individual on earth. Number 3. Adolf Merkel. Peak net worth, $12.8 billion. Adolf Merkel was Germany's 5th richest person. He controlled a pharmaceutical empire, Radiopharm, Heidelberg Cement, and stakes in dozens of companies. Quiet, private, and intensely driven. In 2008, he made a disastrous bet against Volkswagen stock, shorting it heavily. When Porsche announced a surprise takeover bid, VW shares exploded upward, the famous Volkswagen short squeeze. Merkel's position generated losses estimated at over 400 million euros in days. His entire empire, built over decades, was suddenly drowning in debt. On January 5, 2009, Adolf Merkel walked to the railway tracks near his home and stepped in front of an oncoming train. He left behind a note apologizing to his family. He was 74 years old. Number 2. Aubrey McClendon. Peak net worth, $3 billion. Aubrey McClendon co-founded Chesapeake Energy, turning it into the second largest natural gas producer in America. He lived extravagantly, a wine collection worth $7 million, ownership stake in the Oklahoma City Thunder NBA team, a personal map collection valued at $12 million. Then gas prices crashed in 2008. McClendon had used his Chesapeake shares as collateral for over $1 billion in personal margin loans. As the stock tanked, the margin calls came. He was forced to sell 94% of his holdings in 3 days. He was removed as chairman. Years of legal battles followed. In 2016, McClendon was indicted on federal charges of rigging bids for oil and gas leases. One day after the indictment, one single day, he drove his car into a concrete bridge embankment at high speed. He was 66. Number 1. Bernie Madoff. Claimed net worth $17 billion. Real net worth, zero. Bernie Madoff ran the largest financial fraud in human history. For at least 17 years, possibly longer, he operated a Ponzi scheme through his investment firm that swindled over $65 billion from thousands of investors. Charities were wiped out, pension funds were destroyed, life savings evaporated. Elie Wiesel, the Nobel Peace Prize-winning Holocaust survivor, lost his entire foundation's $15.2 million endowment. When Madoff confessed to his sons in December 2008, they called the FBI. He was arrested the next day. His claimed fortune of $17 billion was fiction. The money had never existed. It was simply an entry on a spreadsheet. Madoff was sentenced to 150 years in prison. He died there in 2021. His son Mark hanged himself in 2010 on the 2nd anniversary of his father's arrest. His other son, Andrew, died of cancer in 2014. The family was destroyed as completely as the fortunes they stole. Wealth doesn't just disappear, it goes somewhere. And for every person on this list, the money they lost, or the money that never existed, represented someone else's life savings, someone else's retirement, someone else's trust. The lesson isn't that money is fragile. It's that the systems we build around money, the trust, the oversight, the accountability, are only as strong as the people we put in charge of them. Subscribe to Wealth Ranked. We rank the biggest money stories on the planet. See you in the next one.